Minister, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure for me to join you on this conference on Montenegro's European and Euro-Atlantic path. I wish to thank the organizers, the Džordž C Maršal Center from Germany, and you, Colonel Tahirovic, personally, for this opportunity to take stock of Montenegro's progress in these two parallel tracks. It's true, EU accession is not dependent on NATO membership and vice versa. However, both are complementary to each other. EU and NATO are not accountable to each other. They decide and they operate on their own rules. Their historic origins are different and their objectives as well, which they have to fulfill. And still, EU and NATO are much more than just two disjunct international bodies. EU and NATO are communities of nations sharing and being committed to the same set of values, notably the defense of freedom, democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. They are in fact true communities of values. Today, 22 countries, I'm now a little bit unsure of my American colleagues, at 23 countries, what is correct, are members of EU and NATO at the same time. It means the large majority of the countries are both members in the EU and NATO. NATO integration and EU integration are thus two complementary and mutually reinforcing processes, and Germany actively supports Montenegro on both tracks. Active support does not mean unconditional support. We want to see Montenegro in the European Union as a democratically consolidated and economically well-performing country. And we want to welcome Montenegro to NATO as a democratic country reliably contributing to the security in the Euro-Atlantic area. No doubt, membership in the EU and NATO will bring enormous benefits to Montenegro, but it also entails obligations, and especially the accession process demands sustainable reform efforts. Today's conference adopts this double perspective. The rule of law is at the core of both EU and NATO integration. Ambitions and measurable reform efforts in the rule of law area are key criteria for progress in the EU accession talks initiated in June 2012, a milestone for Montenegro, but only the beginning of a transformation process affecting the Montenegrin society as a whole. We all know what some of the benchmarks in this process are: a secure environment for journalists, regarding their political conviction, the confidence of citizens that justice applies reliably and without discrimination, equal opportunities for all Montenegrins based on personal merits to work for their living or to shape the future of their country. For NATO as a security organization, it's more difficult to win the hearts and minds of citizens. Therefore, it's so important to explain what Montenegro's options in security policy are and why NATO membership is beneficial. Political leaders of Montenegro have to debunk certain negative myths about NATO and convince those who believe that neutrality would be a realistic option for Montenegro. Membership in a security alliance needs a strong domestic backing, and if it shall be really meaningful. The debate on NATO membership has intensified over the last month, both in quantity and in quality. This is a very healthy development. However, there is still some way to go, and to bring these arguments for Euro-Atlantic integration home to the citizens. But let me also say, this is not a debate for us as foreign diplomats in Montenegro. It's more a debate for the elected political representatives and the Montenegrin people. Today, we face security challenges in Europe that we believed to belong to the past. Some people warn against NATO, claiming that membership will draw Montenegro into conflicts against its sovereign will. Frankly, I do not understand this argument. Decisions in NATO are taken by unanimity. In fact, being an ally does not diminish sovereignty, quite the opposite, it secures sovereignty. And particularly for Montenegro, NATO membership would be the best conceivable assurance for territorial integrity, sovereignty, and independence. Montenegro is a contributor to regional security and is a respected partner in NATO-led operations. Montenegro has no open issues whatsoever with any of its neighbors and has started respectable reform efforts. I can only encourage Montenegro to further pursue these reforms, notably in the security and intelligence sectors, thus paving the way for a future membership in the alliance. Thank you.